grass, no rollies. What it means for Denver, what it means for Los Angeles, and also wearing a full uniform in your courtside seat, or meh. Let's go. Woody Page, you're feeling good right now. You got that game on dub. That game on dub for W. Two school of thoughts to last night's thrilling, fun, high-scoring 133-126 game one, Denver and the Lakers. One, Denver, the way they came out like gangbusters. Jokic, a triple-double in the first 26 minutes. Wow, they can really do some things. But the other school of thought, the adjustment the Lakers made to come back from 21 down in the third to be within that LeBron 3 in the last minute from tying it. So you have amazing games from Jokic and from Davis and from Murray and LeBron. And you have a game one that went to the home team. Woody Page, you were there. What did you learn?
First of all, I think the world saw last night why the Nuggets were the number one seed. Even though I picked them to win in the series in 7 games, the Lakers showed us last night they're not going to surrender. They're not going to give up. They actually played better basketball in the last 15 minutes than the Nuggets did. So even though teams make a run all the time and don't normally get over the hump, I saw a lot of non-quitting in the Lakers. I mean, James and Davis were still carrying them at the end. So this is going to be a very difficult series for either team, I think, to try and prevail in less than 7 games. I think the home court advantage is going to make a difference. That's what I took away from the game, other than Jokic, who people don't normally get to see on an often basis. He had more than 30 points and more than 20 rebounds. What does that mean? That's only happened 4 times in NBA history in the playoffs, by Wilt Chamberlain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Jokic, and Jokic again. So, I mean, this guy's an incredible player.
Ben Yates, your takeaway from game one.
I think we learned that the Lakers' best punch just might not be good enough. And as great of a game as this was, there was a big margin early. AD had a good game. LeBron had a good game. They outscored, in fact, Murray and Jokic, and they still didn't get the win. Like, that's kind of what the difficult part about this is, that you assume if you get that level of output from your 2 best players, you're going to be closer than just a 3 with a minute left. Maybe this game was, they never got the lead in this game outside of 2-0 to begin with. So if you're Darvin Ham, you think, how can I get Russell involved? How can I make sure that we up our level of play and find a way to stop Joker, because nobody has. It's tough.
How could you get Russell involved, or whether Russell may have to not be involved the way his plus-minus works out? But your takeaway wasn't that they were able to come back. It was that they couldn't get a win with Davis and LeBron James playing so well from Los Angeles.
They entered that game as number 1 in defensive rating in the playoffs, and they got popped early. To me, that's just an indication that there's something else.
Kevin Blackstone.
Well, to Clinton's point, I learned that Jokic is really, really good. And how good is he? That he could help post his team to a 72-54 halftime lead against the best defense in the NBA since the All-Star break, against the anchor of that defense in Anthony Davis. I did not think that Anthony Davis could get used like he was last night. And then I had no idea that a shorter player in Rui Hachimura could come in the 4th quarter and make a difference to make this game close, being only 6'8". So to back to what Clinton was talking about, if you look at the second half in total, the Lakers won the second half. And if you look at that 4th quarter, they made some adjustments that now Denver's going to have to adjust to, and it's going to be interesting to see what they do. Certainly they're not going to keep Murray on LeBron James, because that was part of the door that opened up for the Lakers to make a comeback. So who are they going to put on James now? And how are they going to counteract this Rui Hachimura discovery in the 4th quarter?
Larry Lyles Jr., your takeaway from game one.
Yeah, I thought this was a little bit more about the Lakers taking the Nuggets' best punch than the other way around. I mean, in the first quarter, the Lakers didn't show up. Like, Darvin Ham and LeBron said that after the game. Like, Jokic had 10 rebounds in that first quarter. 6 of those were offensive. They were sitting there watching them rebound the basketball. There were many times when the Lakers would go on one end, score. They're coming back on the other end. LeBron is the only person sprinting back. He's also the oldest dude on the floor. That is an absolute problem. And for you to somehow only lose this game by whatever it was, 5 or 6 points, to me is incredible. And for all of the things that you saw Darvin Ham change, we all talk about, hey, Rui Hachimura guarding Nikola Jokic and how much of a difference that was. That obviously helped them a whole lot. We still haven't seen all those cards yet. And to me, the real thing with this is the Lakers came back on the Nuggets, a team that has been known to not be able to handle longevity in certain situations and be consistent during this time of the postseason. So to me, the big thing about this series moving forward is the coaching matchup. Is Darvin Ham going to keep playing cards that Mike Malone's not going to have answers for?
What are you shaking your head no?
Well, Harry's talking about the adjustments that will be made. Well, the Nuggets are going to respond to the adjustments that Ham makes. Malone's going to probably put Gordon on Anthony Davis. He has handled two centers in the previous playoff series. And also, if you move KCP over to LeBron James, even though he's a guard, I think he's the most effective player that they can put on James. And if you can put those two players, then you can put Jokic in the same situation that Davis was at the end of the game, where he's playing kind of center field and he's picking.
I
his
love
spots.
it when Woody Page
So
gets into the
seeing
chalk
chess
talk
matches.
here. Woody, did last night remind you of an ABA game? I mean, I ask you, I say that phrase a lot. I didn't see the ABA, but you covered the ABA.
Yeah, ABA called and said, we'd like to get back in the league. Thank you.
Kevin, one last word here. You said something as we sat down about voters in the MVP. What was it?
Well, I was just saying, after you watch this game, after you watch Jokic in the playoffs, how could you possibly have voted for Embiid over this guy? He should have gotten another MVP trophy. That was
but you're not going as far as you did before we sat down. You said if you voted for Embiid, you should lose your vote for 5 years.
You should.
That's what you said.
5 years. But they get 10 years. Good Lord.
Martin Jackson.
We'll move on.
Top 5.
San Antonio Spurs winning the lottery last night. That shriek you heard from Spurs executive Peter Holt was real. And now the path to draft Victor Wembanyama all but guaranteed. And because we can't have anything anymore, NBA Rigged was trending after it, just like NHL Rigged was trending after Chicago won their lottery. But when you see Tony Parker post a photo of Wembanyama wearing a Spurs jersey as a kid, maybe it raises your eyebrow. Clinton Yates, what just happened? How much of the future of San Antonio and the NBA change?
The San Antonio Spurs are that cousin you have that your parents always tell you does everything better than you and makes you feel bad about who you are, and including losing in this scenario. They managed to get the top pick, which was a perfect moment. I think the linkage between France and that nation and the franchise is something that's very real and very fun for the NBA. They're packing out bars in order for people to watch draft lotteries, which is completely wild, even if it is just a promotion. I've been to those. They're not that interesting. I love this for the league. I think it's a good fit, and I think that it's also going to motivate some people to put some eyeballs back on Pop, a guy who's, again, had a great relationship internationally with the game. I think it's a perfect fit.
Kevin Blackstone?
Well, you know, they're very lucky to get this guy. He's a generational talent. To hear some people say this is the most anticipated talent in the history of the NBA. I don't know what they've been watching, but okay, we'll go with that. I just want to pump the brakes a little bit, though, because some people have made the comparison to Tim Duncan and David Robinson. Tim Duncan and David Robinson played together in San Antonio for about 6 or 7 seasons. This guy's getting there, and I dare anyone to name any of the other guys he's going to be playing with on this particular Spurs team. Yeah, something like that from 7 to 03, something like that around there. So, you know, that was a team that was set. It had Sean Elliott on it. It had Steve Kerr on it. Avery Johnson was on it. I mean, they had some ballers. So this is going to be a project. They're going to have to build around him. He can't just come in.
You don't think he can come in? Some have said.
Oh, absolutely not.
So you were invoking Woj before when you were saying the best prospect ever, and that raises an eyebrow to you because you remember LeBron James is the best prospect. I think that's what you're saying.
Of course.
But you can't deny the film that's out there on Wembanyama. But the idea that he told Windhorst he's going to win a title ASAP, you don't buy that with where San Antonio is right now.
Absolutely. I'm not even going to buy the film. The film is from the French League. We know that there were some matchups made over here against some U.S. players. And he did great in the French League, but that's the French League. It's not the NBA.
Harry Lyles Jr.
All right?
I think this was the best result for everybody involved. Whether you think it's rigged or not, I really don't care about that part. He's going to an organization that I think most people would say is not even just the best in the NBA, but one of the best run in all of professional sports, at least in North America. I do think that people are getting a little bit too jumpy, if you will, talking about, hey, well, Pop's going to have them. They're going to win immediately because of what they did with Duncan and Robinson, winning 35 and 36 more games each year with those guys. This is not that. He is absolutely a generational talent, the most spectacular one that we've ever seen since LeBron James. But I think that this is going to be a little bit of a slower burn than absolutely him just jumping in here and all of a sudden they're a contender. I don't think this is that at all, but hopefully for all of us as basketball fans, because he did land here, he's going to reach that potential and we get to enjoy him for anywhere between 15 and 20.
And Woody Page.
I got excited when they got down to the Final Four last night. And last year, we didn't really care about the draft at all. And now you've got those 4 teams all hoping they'll get the #1 pick. But 2 things happened, I felt like. Riverwalk in San Antonio, if you've ever done that, last night after that announcement was made, that you could see that the current changed and started going in a different direction for San Antonio. They're relevant again. And Greg Popovich, I think, was on the verge of retiring from the game, but I think he is
Well, they have
revitalized
12
his
first-round
hardest
picks,
racing.
I think it is, over the next 5 years through 2028. So that's the one. Harry, I'm not going to let you slide in that. You don't care if it's rigged? Is that what you said?
I don't either.
Yeah, because
If it's
I
a
don't- I
good
just
rig
don't
job,
believe
if
that
it is one.
Just because something does not go your way doesn't mean it's rigged.
Well, I'm with you there, but not caring if it's rigged. I mean, I don't understand what
yeah,
that
I
is.
just don't believe that. I got other things to waste my time.
Oh, we're taking a break. Buy or sell on the other. You have other things? Oh, I didn't realize you were so busy. I'm sorry. Percent? Miami, 3% share. How is that possible? They don't have to split the atom. They just have to let Horford go out and shoot some threes. Most important player, X factors, the keys to the series and to your heart. Clinton Yates, go.
Most important player is clearly Jimmy Butler. The X factor is Jimmy Butler, and injuries are another thing for the Heat that made me believe that they don't have much of a chance in this. The Celtics are a better team, but we've seen what happens when he gets going and puts the team on his back. I think they get 1, maybe 2 out of this, but this is the Celtics series to lose.
Okay, so this won't be a series, though, even though everything that applied, the injuries, for Miami applied last series as well. But you think it's Boston pretty easy. Woody Page, how about you?
I don't buy that for a moment. I think that with Spoelstra as the coach in his 7th conference finals, I think he's going to make a big difference because you got on the other side a coach who's in his rookie season who admitted he made mistakes in earlier playoffs. I think that Spoelstra and Butler are going to make this a tight series.
Harry Lyles Jr.
This is all about how the Celtics come out. When they are engaged, they are one of the best teams, if not the best team in the NBA. When they're not engaged, then you have series like they had against the Hawks and the Sixers go longer than what they should have. Miami is a team that you're not getting away with that from. Eric Spoelstra is one of the best coaches in the game. He is going to put his team in the best position to win every single chance that they get. They've got Jimmy Butler. You're not going to be able to get away with that against them.
So those are your keys. I don't even know which way you're leaning right now. Hold on a second. Kevin Blackistone.
Well, I like all those points. I mean, Spoelstra's a great coach. And we know Jimmy Butler's a baller. But you know who saved the Celtics season? Jason Tatum, who's one of the best players in the league. He's going to be the best player in this series. And as Jason Tatum goes, so goes the
So that's your X factor. Who you got in the series? Kevin Blackistone?
Celtics.
Harry Lyles Jr.?
Celtics in 7.
Woody Page?
Celtics.
And Clinton, you already told us it's Boston in 4 or 5 or 5 or 6. What was it? All right. Buy or sell 2. Adam Silver yesterday on John Moran.
Honestly, I was shocked when I saw this weekend that video. Now, we're in the process of investigating it, and we'll figure out exactly what happened to the best we can then. It's the video's a bit grainy and all that, but I'm assuming the worst, you know, but we'll figure out, you know, exactly what happened there.
Silver with some emotion during that interview with Malika Andrews as well. And then the statement from John Morant, which you can read right here as well. Kevin Blackistone, how'd you hear Commissioner Adam Silver?
Well, I understand his shock because he was able to dust off a statement that he read just a couple months ago about this exact same situation with this exact same employee of the NBA. So that is shocking that the message did not get through to Ja Morant. And as far as Ja Morant, I was a little concerned, but I kind of understand maybe what he's saying about this being a journey for him, because the gun culture in this country, which he is representative of more than anything else, is an illness. And it is a problem that needs to be attacked that way. And so both of these folks are stunned, I guess, that they're at the same situation they were at just 2 months ago.
Harry Lyles Jr.?
Yeah, the word shock kind of stood out to me with Adam Silver. I feel like he mentioned that not just because they've already gone through this, to KB's point, but the fact that really this is two things. One, this is a PR thing. You can't have one of the faces of your league doing this, for one. And the other part, and Silver has mentioned this not even just in his most recent statement, but the previous one, is this is a safety issue for Ja Morant. So I think because of what he said, we should be able to expect one of the longer suspensions that we're going to see. And I think that's good, not just for the league, but it's also good for Ja Morant's safety to figure out, like, why do you keep doing this? Because it is quite as simple as just not going live on Instagram.
Woody Page.
I saw a commissioner that was perturbed, pissed, planning to do something really stringent in this situation. The only situation I can compare this to is when Gilbert Arenas was waving a gun in the Washington locker room and was suspended by the predecessor of Silver for the rest of the season. And I think we're seeing that sort of situation coming forward.
Glenn Yates.
Yeah, but I'd like to see a definite explanation as to what actually is wrong here. If the NBA wants to come out and take a stand against gun violence and gun responsibility and use Morant as an example of what should and should not do, okay. But let's not forget that no laws were broken here. And as irresponsible and as idiotic as we might think, it's very difficult to not look like you're just criminalizing him because he's black and has a gun. So it's tricky. You don't want to find yourself in an argument with the PA because you've suspended him.
Well, criminalizing is a tough word, though, right, Clinton? Because it's an employer and an employee. And it's about
that's what I'm saying.
A code of responsibility that is collectively bargained among players and the league, correct?
Right, but if he hasn't technically done anything wrong, I would like to hear from the commissioner specifically what their stance is, and not just assume that everybody's going to look at that and say, oh, right, he's dangerous, obviously. The reason why they think that is a little different than the reason.
To Woody's point about drawing the comparison to Gilbert Arenas, you would say that's not a equal comparison because one was in an NBA locker room versus one.
Yeah. Yes, I would agree with that. I think Gilbert Arenas, that situation was 10 times worse.
Kevin, can I go back to you one more time here? I invoked a collectively bargained agreement between all players and the league to show the best judgment and what is it, the best face of the league, I believe is how it's explained there.
Right, and that's something they can do. But, you know, I just think about all these, or so many of these gun incidents that we've talked about in the last few months involving athletes, and they've all come in states where gun laws have been slowly relaxed. Not to say that these aren't things that would have been illegal before, but just that this is more representative. He's more symptomatic to me of the problem we have with guns in this country than anything else.
Glenn Yates, Harry Lyles Jr., thank you for your time and thoughts, especially there. Woody Page, Kevin Blackistone. Stick around. We got a showdown in 2 minutes. Before and while the two teams were bickering about base coaches was something. And then, of course, Judge won this game with a home run in the 8th. Woody, what's your skull digging here?
I think it's important to note that Jay Jackson, who was the pitcher on the mound when Judge hit the home run, said he knew he was tipping his pitches. He found that out.
Okay.
And the Yankees were actually giving it to Judge. So he didn't cheat so much as he just sort of leaned in.
Mm-hmm. Kevin Blackstone.
Well, with Hermaine, you got to talk about the fact that earlier this year he was busted for having something on his glove, too sticky a rosin, and they let him stay in the game. So you escaped once. This time you got busted. 10 games.
Yeah, 10-game suspension coming Herman's way. The idea that they did it he did it the day after there was already suspicion. But Judge comes back and hits the home run to win the game. I love this. Can't get enough of it. We'll move on. Draymond Green telling Stephen A. when he punched Jordan Poole, it threw the whole season off, that they would still be playing today if he didn't do it. Steve Kerr says it certainly compromised the season, but Draymond needs to come back. If not, they're not a championship contender. Kevin, what do you believe?
I believe both things can be true, and they absolutely have to bring him back because I think their window is already closed. Kerr and those guys think they still have an open window, but not without Green.
How could you possibly say that if the window's already closed, why would they spend $26.9 million to bring him back? They need to retool that franchise without him.
Both good arguments. We'll split the points. We'll move on to Showdown 3. I showed it to you before. Well, take another look at this. Wearing the full Lakers uniform in your courtside seat. Woody Page, fair or foul?
It's foul, especially when you are the former governor of California's son. He's Arnold
right?
Schwarzenegger's
Is
son.
that right?
And guess what? The security staff asked him to come over to the side so they talked to him. He said to the guy next to him, "I'll be back."
Is that true? Oh, shut it down, Woody Page. Kevin, I don't know how you're going to top that.
Do I get to top it?
You did, except you held your finger up there. Do you have something? Do you have kindergarten cop reference or something? Nah, Woody Page. Oh, what a win. 30 seconds apiece.
Sean Payton has made his presence known in Denver at the rookie camp over the weekend in tryouts, including a couple of guys from the XFL. After Ben DiNucci, who used to play for the Cowboys, threw an interception, he walked over to him and said, "Well, you know, the owners of this team also own Walmart, so if there's not a spot for you here, maybe you could be a greeter." Oddly enough, the next day, Payton signed him to an NFL contract.
Veteran win today. Good stuff, Woody Page. Thanks, everybody.